How do you select a survival knife for the purpose of undertaking survival? That's a question I think a lot of us ask, and we always go, is the knife I've got fit for purpose? Is it going to serve me well? And I've discussed this before, quite a few years ago, in terms of selecting a good survival knife. But it really comes down to a couple of key factors. What can this knife do? So here's my take on a couple of things that a survival knife must necessarily be able to do for you. First off, is it secure? Is it something you can carry on your body comfortably? If it's this big, it becomes unwieldy, and you're not likely to have it on you. The basic premise of survival equipment is, if it's not on you, you don't have it, because that's just the way things work out. When you need it the most, it's not there because it's in a pack, because it's too uncomfortable to carry around. By contrast, if it's too small, particularly if it's a folding blade, it has a hinge, and if that hinge is there, it's not going to stand up to heavy work. Now how do I define heavy work? I define heavy work as being able to be bashed. So if I baton some wood open to get dry material out to light my fire, that requires a fair bit of heavy impact on the upper part of the blade. As a consequence, if the knife can hold up to that, I regard that as one of its key tasks. It can get me dry firewood. That's a fairly blunt and broad task. The second thing I want it to be able to do is be able to carve and cut for me. So if I'm making trap parts or components or needing to do some fine work, I want the blade to also be able to do that. So let's have a look at what that means, and then we'll have a look at batoning. So a couple of characteristics that this one exhibits. This is not a particular endorsement of Gerber's Strong Arm, but this is a knife I've been working with for a couple of weeks now. It's a good knife. It's ergonomically good in the hand. It fits in my hand. I'm not a particularly big-handed person, so this fits very, very well. Okay, it's simple, nice and solid, full tang, all the way through to the end, and it's a simple drop point cutting blade. No serrations, because in the field, in a survival environment where I'm needing to necessarily sharpen my tool without the bench equipment I've got at home, I need a simple plain blade that I can literally grind it with a stone that I've made up. Okay, so something simple like that serves well. It also makes it easy to maintain. So this has been very good in that aspect. It comes in a good sheath, which is, as we said, very important. Now let's look at what it actually does. So, two key skill sets with any kind of knife work. One is, does it chisel? So if it chisels, which this does, and I'll turn this around so you can see, this chisels very well. I can use my thumbs on the back of the blade, which is important, because otherwise I am going to get blisters and tear up my hands. Now that's not smart in a survival situation. Does it slice? So if I now rotate my wrists and use my thumbs as a leverage point, it slices very well. Okay, so slice, chisel, slice, chisel, and this one does both quite well. All right, so I'm happy with that. That's two of the key characteristics. Let's now look at, is this strong enough to baton wood open? And let's have a look. So here's my wet firewood. The outside's wet. I want to get to the stuff in the heart of that block of wood. Does the knife cut it? Knife on top, and let's just baton it across. So there's a couple of things. Is it going to have enough length to be able to get to the other side of a decent piece of wood? And fundamentally, is it going to be strong enough? Let's see. Beautiful. So that's doing the job I demand of it. It needs to be able to split this wood open and hold up to some rough work. Okay, and then I can still need it to go back and do fine cutting. okay, or fine chiseling. So it should feel like it's not going to give my hand blisters. If it's got angular parts that are digging into my hand already, that's not a good sign. So, can it split the wood up? Can it be used to slice and chisel? And you've got a pretty well reasonable gauge of the capabilities of that particular knife. So there you have it. Look, everyone's got an opinion on this. That doesn't matter. Make your own decisions based on what makes sense to you. Figure out what the knife is capable of doing, what you expect it to do, and think, my life could be dependent upon the quality of this particular tool. It is a tool. Yes, it's a weapon, but it's fundamentally a tool in survival. So make sure you've got good quality tools, good quality steel, the best that you can afford at that time, and that it does the job.